Hello, this is Tarron with Twist Mesquite Performance Horses. Today we're going over a video with Salty. He's been in our program a little over a month now. We're going to go over what we've worked on this week, and what we've worked on this week is the first week we've got him in the snaffle, and so a lot of what we've been doing is making sure that this horse will follow us around. He'll follow his nose. He's going to move off when we're asking him to. When we want to make sure that we have a one rein stop on him, that he'll slow back down and he'll rate back down. Just like right here, we're making sure we're feeling this one rein stop, making sure he'll get soft both sides. We just want to remind him about this snaffle. And as we're going through this ride, I want to feel all this stuff out. I want this ride to be a good ride. I want it to start in a good manner and end in a good manner. So we're just going to walk this horse around and kind of feel everything out. Make sure he'll steer around. Make sure he goes in the direction we're wanting him to go. We're doing this video a little different. We had some audio troubles while we were recording the day of, and so we're going back and narrating over the video. So I'll kind of just talk about what we're working on, what the big things were, and what I was seeing at that time. So here I'm wanting to just trot this horse off. I want to feel out, make sure he'll stay at this trot as I'm guiding him around. He doesn't want to run off. He's not trying to break gait. As I said, this was the first week in the snaffle, so he's still figuring out how to carry it around, and that just takes time. Just takes some time for him to get used to that snaffle. But he's getting to where he's guiding around pretty well. He understands what it means, understands the one rein stop in it, understands how to guide around with that snaffle. So first, I'm going to do a lot of just following the fence right here. I'm going to spend some time on this back fence. He kind of boogers around from this fence a little bit, and so we're going to guide around this back fence, kind of go back and forth. I want to make sure that in this exercise here that he gets pretty close up to that fence, that he's traveling up on that fence, and he steers across when we ask him to. But doing this exercise gives us an opportunity to put some miles under his feet without having to spend a whole lot of time steering him, and we can just put steady miles under his feet. So he was kind of cutting the corner out and shying away from that fence line, and so I decided to take him back the other way. See, he's not wanting to get too close to that fence right there. Kind of running around a little bit, so I just put him back on it, take him back to that fence, bring him back around, and we'll do it again. When a horse shies away with something, from the fence line, from a ball, from anything, I don't want to make it a big deal, but I am going to take him across that, whatever that is. I'm going to take him across that a handful of times until they start figuring out, hey, it's no big deal that that item is there. Until they can walk by it, trot by it, whatever, without being concerned. And we can just keep on going. So if he veers off the fence there just like he did, I'm just going to take him back to that fence. So he's not wanting to come up to this fence. He's not wanting to come up to this corner out of that eye. And so I just take him back. I'll do a circle there because he didn't want to go deep into that corner. Now let's put him back on this fence line. If he veers off again, like I said, I just take him back to it. Eventually, as you go through and you've worked this exercise, you've gone down that fence on both sides and done it enough, eventually they're not going to spook at anything that you find on that fence line. And I want to work all that stuff out. For one, in the arena, it's where I can put the most miles on that horse. I can just stick him on the perimeter of this fence, the perimeter of this arena, and I can just ride them. And they just stay at that fence line and ride and go, and we can just put steady miles under their feet. And later on, as we advance, I need them to be comfortable with the edges of the fence, with the edges of the arena, so that we have the whole arena to work in, to make improvements, to work on our exercises, to work a cow, whatever we're working. We have the whole arena to do it, and the horse is not sitting there worried, concerned about what's on the other side of the fence, what's at the fence line, not concerned about the fence. They're comfortable with it. They're comfortable with everything within that arena so that we can do the job we need to do. So we're just spending some more time at this trot, letting this horse travel out. He's getting more comfortable with this area of the arena, not shying away from it, not trying to run off from it. I really like how this horse travels out. He has a smooth trot, and his lope's just the same. He's a very athletic colt, very good minded. He's been a lot of fun to ride. Again, he veered off that fence line, so I just took him right back. He didn't want to go into that corner, so I did a circle there and went back to the fence line. Let him rest and stop in that corner a minute. I'll do that as I go through the exercises, or as I go through his training, especially with these young colts. You know, they're concerned about a corner or a part of the fence. I might let them rest right there with just a little bit of, gives them a little bit of draw to that area, because they said, well, that's where I was able to rest last time. And so they draw to that area, and you can get rid of some of those scary parts of your arena just by letting him rest in that area. The time we've come around, he veered off a little bit again, but every time that we make those corrections, he gets better the next time around. And so it's encouraging him to do what we're needing him to do, to rest in those areas, or to travel that fence line comfortably and not have a big issue with it. And so the more you do it, the better those horses get. So we're going to work on the same exercise at a lope. You saw him kind of stumble there a little bit. That's one of the importance of, I find, with this exercise, to where I can let this horse just lope off, especially these young horses that still need to figure out where their feet are. I can let them just lope off. At this point, they've started controlling themselves, taking responsibility for their feet, and they're following this fence a lot on their own. So I'm not spending any time. I'm having to guide them. I'm having to stop them. I'm having to keep them going. I'm not doing all of that stuff. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I have my feet on them. We're moving forward. We've taught them how to stay in the gait that we're asking them to be in, and so we can just travel. We can just travel and let this horse figure out where his feet go. So again, if he cuts a corner, we're just going to take him back into it and lope off again. And see, that's a prime example right there. We work on one aspect at a time. And so the first thing we do when we get out here to this big arena, okay, we'll work on our one rein stops. Make sure we can ask them to walk off, to trot off, to lope off, and do a one rein stop. Then we just ask them to move out. Okay, so then they're just moving out. We're not steering them. They're just trotting out. They're just moving out. They're staying at that gate. We get that pretty good. And then we get to following the fence. So we incorporate those three and encourage them to just follow the fence at the gate that we asked them to stay at. And that's where we're at this point. But just as we saw a second ago, to where I was steering that horse around at this lope and he breaks gate. Well, it gives them, these horses have, if you're teaching them multiple things at the same time, they're trying to think about what is it that you're wanting to do at that moment. And so if we can just build these things, teach them one thing at a time, and they get pretty good at that thing, and then add the next thing, it helps them understand better, I believe. And you don't have any fights or frustrations. You just teach them and ride them, and they advance every day. So there's certainly still some more things to be working on with this young colt. Of course, 30 days, he's come a long ways. Put a nice little start to him. We wanted to just be able to ride him around a little bit, remind him of the basics that we've taught him up to that point. That way he has that fresh on his mind the next time that he gets worked. We didn't want to go in there and add anything new or confuse him. We wanted to encourage him and kind of refine things that we've been working on. So that was an overview of last week with Salty, some of the things we worked on. That was a pretty successful ride. So we wanted to just end it in a good slow manner, let him rest, relax. So until next time.